Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Chancellor. Nice to see you today. Last week, I had a lengthy discussion about workforce development with the Department of State. And as you've just testified here today, health is an important field, great demand from students, and many of your schools focus on healthcare career preparation. And while my district doesn't have a state system school, I hear from my local college about the delays that they've experienced with the administration in approving new programs that are in demand. So for example, York County's largest health system partnered with York College to create a program for psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner program. New curriculum is subject to the approval of the State Board of Nursing, housed in the Department of State. To date, they are waiting on feedback after submitting an application over a year ago. And we continue to hear about workforce development challenges. Yesterday, the Associated Press highlighted that the disparity between our unemployment rate and the national rate is, and I quote, among the widest it has been in decades. And I look at your enrollment trends, and it's troubling. Every higher education institution is trying to adapt to what the workforce wants, because at the end of the day, we all share a common goal, right? We've got to get Pennsylvania students educated in Pennsylvania to earn a good living here in Pennsylvania. But when the bureaucracy drags its feet in approving programs that employers are clamoring for, students are demanding, we have major challenges. Can you speak about how your universities are adapting to the workforce needs that you're hearing about from the private sector, and if you are experiencing any type of hiccups with the administration in getting your academic programs approved, like colleges that I've heard from back home, particularly around healthcare?
So, a couple things. So one of them is that I think we can all agree that higher education, when it needs to, can really boogie. I mean, we went online in like a week. The progress of our all aspects of our integration has been pretty quick. So culturally, we're able to do it. On the other hand, we need also to always be very careful and ensure that there's quality in program development. That does take time and a lot of consultation, in particular leadership from faculty. So one wants to walk a balance. With our schools, we move pretty quick. On the workforce side, and we've already discussed the drift towards programs leading to high demand occupations. All of our new program and program approvals require an analysis of graduate employment demand. And we have the data available through visualization tools, which frankly we can make available to everybody, they're public, where you can look in your region and see how many jobs in an area which is fed by physics, or name your subject. And then you can begin to make some program determinations about whether there's adequate demand in your region to begin to sort of invest in a program of that scale. And once programs are approved, and our approval process needn't take long, again, recognizing that quality is important, they can be implemented as investments allowed. One caveat is that, we have schools running on recession management now for 15 years. Things are slow, maybe because of the bureaucracy. They're also slow because people are working flat out in multiple roles because of the pressure financially that's existed for a long time. So, we have to be more responsive, but I want to manage expectations about what we can do without additional support from the state. We just can't operate that way.
Well, and I appreciate that. I think, what we're trying to get at here today is making sure that there aren't barriers in your ability to create programs that are going to educate people for the workforce in high demand areas. And we want to make sure that there aren't barriers there. And if they are, how can we work together to remove those barriers? Because again, I believe, share the same goal, which is well-educated kids here in Pennsylvania for good jobs. Your budget seeks to use $75 million in federal funding from the American Rescue Plan Act. And in our first week of budget hearings, I asked Treasurer Garrity if she, in her capacity in overseeing the state's payments thought spending one-time federal dollars on recurring expenditures is sound fiscal policy. Is it a good idea? And without hesitation, she immediately said no. So, with that being said, could you elaborate on how you plan to spend these ARPA dollars? Will it be on recurring expenditures or one-time costs? And give us some foresight into how, how would your budget next year look, knowing that these funds will not be there?
So the one-time money is being used, the projection for the $200 million one-time money that was committed, so the additional 150 would be used very much as the current 50. I would say about half of it goes into helping us with our legacy costs, including debt, as described earlier, including standing up the integration efforts, and half of it will go into strategic investments that allow us to do the kinds of things you were talking about before, to serve our students, our new student populations and our new program areas to serve those better. The 500
so strategic investment, that's one of those nebulous terms,
sure.
right? So define strategic investment.
Yeah.
I think what we're concerned about is we're staring down this future fiscal path with great concern about the ability to sustain these numbers, because these, again, are one-time federal dollars.
Yeah. So strategic investment, student success. How do we improve our student outcomes? How do we strengthen traditional pipelines, dual enrollment with high schools, better transfer with community colleges? How do we retain students who are at higher risk? So that whole category of student success, I can tell you where every dollar is being spent on every single university.
And are they recurring expenses? Do you
They are not
anticipate
recurring expenses.
incurring them in the next fiscal year?
Correct. My euphemism, my definition of strategic investment of one-time dollars includes things which are genuinely one-time expenses.
Very good.
It would include investments that strengthen the welcoming nature, that help us be as welcoming, to be welcoming for all members of our community and have all members of our communities have every opportunity to succeed. And then finally, a dedicated investment in improving workforce-aligned programming, particularly in the non-degree space. We've asked our universities to tell us specifically what they're doing with those dollars and to provide outcomes, goals for what they expect to see in terms of enrollment and other obvious measures.
Very good. Thank you,
Thanks so
Chancellor.
much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.